Hello and welcome to this, the 14th Film Hub and I podcast. I'm joined as ever by my comrade Sarah Smith.
Hello.
And this week we're going to be focusing on members Moving On Music, who are about to launch on the 27th of February their Brilliant Corners Festival. I'm joined by Mick Bonner. Say hello, Mick.
Hello, how's it going?
And Rose Baker.
Hello.
Mick's from Moving On Music. You're the coordinator?
Yeah.
What's your job title? Do you have a fancy job title?
Creative producer.
Excellent.
What can I say? What can I say?
And Rose is programmer for this year's film programme as part of Brilliant Corners. And we're delighted to be supporting the festival this year. So Mick, tell us about Brilliant Corners. What's it about?
Well, this is the 8th year of it. It started off very small and it's grown into something that's only quite small now. So it's a great 10 days of music, film, workshops, free events as well.
What's the artistic principle behind it? What kind of art are you bringing to people?
Well, it's a jazz festival, but in some ways that word kind of limits people's idea of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Just because there's certain images conjured up with the word. Some of them quite negative, actually. You know, old-fashioned, they're quite fuddy-duddy. But
yeah.
That's kind of the reason why we wanted to take this on, because we think it's the most exciting art form that exists.
Agreed, absolutely.
So we
Apart from film.
Well,
Yeah.
so we wanted to.
yeah.
We just wanted to demonstrate the kind of.
I couldn't be drawn on that, but anyway.
Could be, you know, just the vastness
Yeah.
of that type of music, and how, you know, it touches on everything from, you know, the very experimental to more mainstream pop music, really. So it's 10 days of very different events.
Okay. Because jazz is often seen as, you know, a particular kind of stereotype of the music, but actually what we're talking about is improvisation and creativity. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's what it boils down to. If, you know, for me, it's just a more exciting, more explorative type of music creation.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, in some ways, once you put that name on it, you're excluding a lot of potential ears, because they think, oh, well, it's not for me. But one of the best things about this festival is hearing people leaving after a gig and saying things like, I didn't think I'd enjoy that, or I had no idea what that was going to be, but I loved it. Which is sort of the idea behind it. That's what we want. Just to have new things reach new years, basically.
It's really quite interesting, that, because a lot of arts now, and you know what's kind of given to the public is giving people what they want.
Exactly.
But actually, this is maybe about challenging audiences.
Well, totally, and it's also the idea of, I think, curation to a point has totally been lost, because you get to pick and choose whatever it is you want to hear and listen to and watch.
Okay.
You know, you don't really have to, you know, be on a certain TV channel and you waiting to see what comes up next. You can basically curate your own day, which is great to a point, but it means you're only watching and listening to things you kind of already know about.
Okay. So
having a festival where there is a lot of things within it that you've no idea, or names that you're not familiar with, I think is given something that's maybe lacking elsewhere. So it's great to be able to, I mean, we kind of work all year round listening to as much as we can and visiting other festivals, just to make sure we curate something in a really great and surprising way. And I think we do it pretty well.
Nice one, yeah. So, yeah, certainly if you judge by the programme, which is lovely looking. I've got to say that. I don't know if that's a professional term, is it?
Lovely
looking.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were aiming for. That was the brief.
You say that to the designer, just make it lovely looking?
Yeah, can you make a lovely looking thing? Yeah.
And you make lovely looking tote bags as well, don't you?
We do, but sorry to say this, but this year we're not making tote bags. I know, and the reason for it,
environmental sustainability.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We thought we were making tote bags, thinking, okay, well, this is you know, better than plastic. But apparently, the production of a tote bag, you have to use it something like, I think it's 140 something times before it offsets the carbon footprint if you compare it to a single-use plastic bag.
There you go.
So people have, you know, cupboards full of tote bags that they don't tend to use.
Right.
So we just thought, no, this year we'll not. We'll just.
Sure, people can carry stuff in their pockets.
Bring your own
Exactly.
bag
You know
and
what I
carry
mean?
your jazz home in it.
Yeah, use the tote bags as got in previous years.
That
Put
sounds
it in your jazz pocket.
Put it in your jazzy pocket. Yeah.
It's a pretty unique festival then.
Yeah, it is, and it's becoming even more so here. Galway Jazz Festival isn't that doesn't exist anymore.
Right, okay.
Bray is taking a break as well. So there's only a few real jazz festivals left on the island. This is the only one in Belfast.
Mm-hmm.
There's a City of Derry Jazz, isn't there?
There's a City of Derry Jazz, and there are other festivals that would have that word hitched on to their festival.
Yeah.
But maybe if you were looking at it, you would be kind of going, well, "Where's the jazz in this?"
Yeah.
Or if they become bigger and a drink sponsor come in, they can tend to kind of lean towards sort of music in a pub.
Yeah.
As opposed to gigs that people actually go out of their way to go and listen to something.
Well, jazz on film has a long history.
Yeah.
And we're delighted to be supporting you to put a film programme together for this year. So, Rose, tell us about the programme.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the support, first of all, from Film Hub, because
Very welcome.
it's fantastic.
Sure, we would have just spent it on horses or something like that.
Tote bags.
Exactly. But yeah, so the program is, there are 4 films this year. Usually there were 3 in previous years, and we've expanded a little bit. Not least because of the help that we've got from Film Hub. But they're just in terms of like the ideas behind the programming. A lot of what Mick just said about about the festival ethos is what is really important to think about. When thinking of what films to show as well.
Yeah.
So they are films about, I suppose, that do reflect a kind of what people think of when they think of jazz.
Yeah.
But also there's a lot of other stuff in there as well. So the films themselves are, the first one is The Connection by Shirley Clarke,
which is a classic.
Absolutely. It's a classic jazz film. And it's also a classic American sort of avant-garde independent film.
And directed by a woman as well.
Yes, indeed. Shirley Clarke, one of the greatest American filmmakers, to be honest. And so, it is very much, it's the only film in the programme that isn't a documentary, but it is a documentary in another way, because it's about a documentary being made about these musicians who are also serious drug addicts. So they're waiting for their dealer to come. Basically, that's the sort of the scenario of the film, and it's really, really fantastic. And it
has it got musicians that people might know in it? Or?
Well, there's Jackie McLean, who was
exactly,
and Freddie Redd. He plays piano throughout, and it's all completely live. All the music that they play in the film was just what they were playing at the time. So
is it early 60s or
61?
61, yeah. Okay, right. So it's really the sort of just coming out of the golden age kind of thing. Or?
Yeah, and it shows you just how like unglamorous it was to be a jazz musician in those days. And I think we have this idea now that jazz now is something else. Contemporary jazz is very slick and big money and all the rest of it, but or it can be, but in the late 50s, early 60s, New York, it was a hard life.
Pretty hand to mouth.
Yeah,
I remember seeing the Tavernier film around midnight, and there's the scene with Dexter Gordon's his characters in the hotel, and they're frying an egg on like this, like basically on a candle in a hotel room, and that's the only thing they've eaten in 2 days, and it's really sort of not an easy lifestyle for most of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that there's also another film in the program that kind of reflects this as well. It's a sort of a nice companion piece to The Connection, and it's called The Jazz Loft, according to W. Eugene Smith.
Okay.
It's a really catchy title. Just rolls off the tongue. But but it's really, really excellent, and it's a documentary about a photographer for Life magazine who Eugene Smith, who had this loft downtown in Manhattan, and he let all these jazz musicians come and rehearse there and play there. So he took loads and loads of photos of them. I mean, there's a huge archive of photographs from that time, and also he recorded them. He would drill holes in like the walls and put little microphones in different places. Okay. And
so they didn't even know that they were being recorded, or
they did. Yeah. I mean, they did know because, well, like he would basically like drill a hole through the floor that you were standing on and poke a little mic up, so like people did know like what it was pretty obvious what he was doing, but
furtive, right?
Yeah, so it's just a really amazing story of this man's sort of obsessive kind of recording of different musicians, like Thelonious Monk and people would come, and I mean, it is really quite an amazing story. So that's it. But yeah, again, it sort of reflects the time and the kinds of places people were living in and playing in and stuff like that. So.
Tell us about Imagine the Sound, because that's Cecil Taylor, is that right?
Yeah. So that one is a Canadian documentary from 1981, totally different era.
Yeah.
But it's basically interviews and performances from big names from free jazz.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the 80s, it probably would have been about 20 years after they sort of started the movement. So it's really interesting because it's obviously they're talking about, another era, but then we're watching it from this standpoint, and even what they were doing in the 80s is from another era.
Yeah.
So it's got that sort of double layer, and the performances are great, and Cecil Taylor's so fascinating.
He was a very interesting. I once saw him on a BBC Two show, late 80s or something like that, where he essentially destroyed the piano. I mean, kind of, it was odd. I remember a couple of weeks after that, Nirvana smashed up their kit on live TV, but it was a very different kind of aesthetic that Cecil Taylor was going for. I mean, all those free jazz guys, I mean, that's often where a lot of people kind of stop in terms of jazz because it's too far for them. I mean, does the film reflect on that, or is it a straight up celebration of what they do?
It is more of a celebration.
Okay.
It does, they do talk. I don't want to give too much away, what they talk about, but they talk about personal things and also just what it was like, and it's very insightful. So yeah, there's quite a lot in there, but the performances are really good as well.
And finally, you've got a film with Mama Africa.
Yes,
yeah.
So that's about Miriam Makeba.
Yeah,
the sort of icon of African music, and her life is just, I mean, it's her life story basically, and it's an incredible story. She was exiled from her home in South Africa, and because she was in a film that that played at the Venice Film Festival, and sort of publicly denounced the regime that was happening at the time. So because she was in that film, her passport was sort of cancelled while she was in revoked while she was in the United States, and she was never able to go back. Right. So she ended up fighting for equal rights and social justice around the world, and using her platform. I mean, that's just one side of her life. She was also an incredible singer and talented musician, and was really like a trailblazer for African musicians in the West. So it's a fantastic story. Yeah.
And it's a documentary of her life.
It is, with really interesting. It's more of a sort of a straight up Talking Heads documentary, but has some fantastic archive footage as well.
It does. She was an amazing performer.
Oh, absolutely.
These are all quite niche films. How did you go about trying to get the license for them? Was it easy enough process?
Yes. I think it was. It was fairly easy. They are pretty rare films. They don't get shown very much, which is why it's great that we have them. Well, the easiest one was probably The Connection, because that came from Milestone in America. Right. They are a great small distributor of independent American work that and they do a lot of work in restoration and things like that as well, and bring out lovely new digital prints. So that one was, and actually I Dennis Doros, who runs that label that distributor.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind it. The
label, that's all right. But I actually asked him, I actually really wanted, there's one film in the program that I wanted to get, but I couldn't, which is about, it's called The Jazz Baroness, and it's about Baroness Rothschild, who was a great patron of jazz in the 50s and 60s, and actually I since this program was done, I've sort of found it somewhere, so I might
next year
think about that for some other time.
Next year.
But you talk to people, you say have you do you know where this film is? Do you know who might have this one? And that's how you eventually track things down. And that's where Mama Africa came from, because actually it was suggested to me by Dennis there, and that was fantastic. I mean, you just need to talk to people and ask questions.
Yeah, get their knowledge.
And then I just thought it looked absolutely brilliant. So I was able to get in touch with the distributor of that in the UK. Then
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Where can people track the films down? You've tracked them down to show them. Where can they see them?
They can see them in the Beanbag Cinema from Friday and Saturday this week, and Friday and Saturday next week.
Right. Okay. And yeah, I know that's in the midst of all the other stuff. I mean, Mick, just in terms of the festival's perspective, is film something that's useful in terms of bringing people into the festival?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Last year we didn't have films.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the funding for it, so it's brilliant to have a bit of money to have them back in the festival. And it was one thing that a lot of the audience members that came along said they really missed. You know, going and seeing a film before they went to a gig. Just the way it's programmed. If you were a complete nut, you could go to every single thing that we're showing here. Just the way it's timed.
A loyal customer, I think is the word you're looking for, not complete nut.
Loyal
yeah,
customer.
It's always a dividing line.
It is. And it is. And so that was one of the things that a lot of people said. They were just, they missed them, basically.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant to get a wee bit of money from yourselves and to be able to work with Rose again, who just programs the best films.
Well, there you go, Rose.
Oh.
High praise indeed. Well, no, it is. I mean, it's a great lineup, and we're delighted to be supporting it. Just in terms of the film's presence in a festival like this. You know, as I said earlier, film and jazz have a long history in terms of working together, and you know how film actually spread the word about jazz as well. Certainly in the big band kind of time and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see. So it starts on the 27th.
27th,
right?
this Thursday.
Okay.
So there's actually there's a free gig.
Right.
At lunchtime up at the Sonic Arts Resource Centre.
Okay. In Queens.
In Queens, yeah. So it's Francesco Tracy, solo piano, he's incredible. So there are tickets. I think there are a few tickets still available to register, but you do have to register for them.
Okay.
So just visit brilliantcornersbelfast.com. And then after that, we go on. I'll not run through the whole program.
No, play through the whole thing.
But yeah, we go on to Friday and we've a gig in a film, and then Saturday 2 gigs in a film, and then nothing on Monday because why put something on the Monday?
It's not right. It's not right. It's like a day of rest.
It's a day of exactly.
It's a day of rest.
So we're back again on the Tuesday, and it's basically there's 12 ticketed gigs, and there are a couple of jamming sessions in the Sunflower after some of the events. 4 films. There's a couple of workshops. We're also putting together a band this year of young players called As the Dust Settles.
Right.
They'll be working with Steve Davis, the drummer from here. James Joyce, he'll be doing keys and synths, and Jack Kelly. And then it's a collection. I think it's 6 or 7 young musicians who've all played. So it's going to be not only brand new music but a brand new ensemble.
Nice one.
Just to see how that goes.
Yeah, that's excellent. The films are on. So the connection's on the 28th in the evening, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then Imagine the Sounds on the Saturday, and then the 6th and 7th of March have the other 2 films from Mama Africa and the Jazz Loft as well. So, well, look, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. We're delighted to be supporting it. Hope it all goes really well.
Best of luck with it all.
I hope there are some new jazz hats out there that come out of this.
Jazz nuts. That's my new thing.
Yeah, jazz hats.
They're out there. They are out there.
And that film continues to be a useful part of your program.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Moving on music, Rose and Mick, for coming in and telling us about the festival and the films in the festival. Speaking of films, gird your loins, tighten up your shoes, because it is time for Sarah's dramatic, extraordinary, astonishing roundup of Film Hub NI films coming up.
Lower your expectations.
Oh, okay. Well, just don't gird your loins then.
Don't lower your expectations about the films.
No.
Just about
How you're going to deliver
how I'm
it?
going to deliver it. Yes,
Okay,
a lot
right.
of pressure here.
Just give it the
get it out.
2 barrels here.
Okay. Well, it's a very busy week in
See?
the world of film. So luckily we record this podcast today. 25th of February, Ormeau Community Cinema at the Pavilion Bar. Are screening Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. For those
Lovely.
Leonardo and Claire Danes fans amongst you.
I once went to that and the girl I was with broke up with me.
Aww.
Yeah, just after the film.
Well, don't take your wife tomorrow night.
No. So, just as a warning, if anyone's thinking of going to the pavilion tomorrow, just be careful.
Yeah,
Okay.
but get your tickets. I think they've sold about 2/3 of them, so it should probably another sellout probably for Ormeau Community Cinema.
Great.
They're doing really well, which is brilliant to see. 26th of February, dementia friendly screen of Whiskey Galore at
Brilliant.
Flowerfield.
Uh-huh.
And then there's
That's Flowerfield in Coleraine.
Portstewart,
something. Yes,
well, I mean,
up North
up there,
Coast. Sorry,
up there.
yes.
And on the 26th of February, down in Dungannon, from up there to down there, Bait.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Did really well last year, so check that out. There's a lot happening on that day. Also, if you go to Fermanagh, well, there's something happening if you live anywhere in Northern Ireland on Wednesday. You can go
Just
to
step out the front door.
There'll be films in your face. Le Brio, the French film.
Oh, that's Daniel Auteuil.
Yeah, so that's happening in Fermanagh. And if you're in Belfast, you can go and see The Lost Boys.
Right.
If you're into that 80s
I'm not into
shtick.
that. That was a terrible time then, and I won't be taking any part in it.
But go and see the film.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
if
not
you
but
know
like
what
other
I'm
people should
saying,
go and
me.
see the film.
Right.
And also a QFT on Thursday. Now, this is a very interesting event, supported by Film Hub NI. The Rocky Road to Equal Marriage, which is an archive event, and they've got a lot of material which traces the journey of Equal Marriage campaign.
Right.
And they've got stuff from RTE and BBC and all over the place. And I know that Lumi, Aaron, who runs Lumi, has been working really hard on that. And they also have a really good panel, a big panel hosted by Patrick Corrigan.
Of Amnesty International fame, yeah.
Including Mike Nesbitt, who used to be a no to marriage equality,
Yeah.
and now he's a yes to marriage equality.
Right, okay.
So from that perspective, it's interesting.
Like Saul on the road to Damascus.
John O'Doherty from the Rainbow Project,
Yep.
Cara McCann, Mary Query, and Gillian Callan.
That's a great lineup.
Yeah, so that should be a really, really interesting event.
Yep.
They've worked very closely with Northern Ireland Screen on that as well. So very timely.
Well, absolutely. Well, it's always interesting to see how Film Archive can tell these stories.
Yeah.
And so much of news and so much broadcast stuff is made of this and then forgotten about. So it's great to see this project.
Yeah, and hopefully there might be other opportunities to see this maybe in the future.
Well, who knows?
Who knows? But get yourself along to KFT on. I think there's still tickets left. Go on the brand new website with the brand new booking system and book your tickets.
Okay, do that.
Do that. If you are in Portrush though, on the 27th of February, you can see Still Alice, which is an Alzheimer's awareness event.
That's the Julianne Moore film.
Yes.
Yes.
28th of February, which is Friday, there's a couple of things happening. First of all, the last in the Bump Along the Way tour date. Oh, it's been quite the ride. So Louise Gallagher, the producer, and myself will be hitting the road to Aurora Community Cinema in Rostrevor.
Lovely.
For the
It's a
final.
beautiful part of the world.
Do you know, I don't think I've ever been.
What?
I mean, and it will be dark when I go there,
Sure,
but
you
I'm sure I'll
haven't
have a good time. So that is the last and the 11th date tour,
My
which
goodness.
has been a resounding success.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Sellout.
Sellouts, loads of people tweeting and Facebooking and absolutely loving the film. We've Louise and myself have been kind of watching audiences as they react to the film. So
Yeah.
everybody loves it.
Well, that's interesting.
Everybody loved. People who were at the pavilion screen had already seen it in QFT. People were coming again and bringing their family. Or well, they're not their family. It's a 15.
It's the feel good hit of the summer. It's Cracker
winter
and whatever.
Yeah. So that has been brilliant. So yes, so it'll be a big night on Friday in Rostrevor.
I'm delighted that audiences have responded to it so much because one of the reasons we do it is to get kind of locally produced films out in front of people.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a real vibe about it. It's great.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's kind of from the screenings that we've been at, people, when we're doing the Q&As or whatever, are asking the question, how can we support people to make more films and get more films seen?
Get our stories up on screen. Yeah.
So I just shouted people, tell them to go to the cinema and support them.
Look for someone with a bucket.
Yes.
And support our film industry on it. Right, okay.
Go to the cinema, watch the films.
Is there a PayPal?
Go fund me.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
That's
so
great.
that has been a success for many reasons, but that has been great. More news about the next collective film, when I have some.
Okay.
In talks.
Okay.
If you're not in Ross Trevor and you're in Oma, you can go and see The Peanut Butter Falcon, which has been a big hit. Also amongst the community cinemas. And Banter Flicks are at the Beanbag screening The Host, which is directed by Bong Joon. How do I say it?
Bong Joon-ho.
Yes.
Bong Hive.
Bong Hive. We're all part of the Bong Hive now.
We're all part of the
Bong
Hive,
now.
absolutely.
Who obviously directed Parasite, which is going to be film of the year for me, probably, even though it's only February.
By all accounts, The Host is an amazing film. I mean, I don't think he's made many dud films, but it's the main guy from Parasite is in The Host as well.
He was brilliant.
And it's all about a family as well, again, being sort of attacked by mad dinosaurs and things like that.
Excellent. Well, Banterflix are doing a few of his films, so have a look on our website if you're getting on the Bong Hive vibe.
If you ever have a chance to see Memories of Murder, you should really see that. It's a 90s film that he made, and or maybe a bit later. But I remember I got in the days of love film when a man used to put a DVD through your front porch. I got that out. I was just on a whim for some reason, and it was amazing film. Amazing. The performances he gets from actors is just extraordinary. So just go watch all his films.
Watch them all. Just non-stop.
Yep.
Bong Hive. And on that note, if you haven't seen Parasite, what's wrong with you? Go and see it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry, digressing that one. Cinemagic have their On the Pulse Short Film Festival happening from the 29th of February to the 29th of March, which is screenings, education programs, talks, hands-on workshops, all focused on the short film genre. Which is good because I think it's hard sometimes. We watch a lot of films and we see a lot of shorts. It's hard to get a short right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a straightforward process.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that kind of focus on that festival.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a look on our website through there's a lot of short films that'll be shown, but Cinemagic have themed them. So there's for younger kids, and there's ones for teenagers, and then there's like horror shorts as well, thriller shorts, things like that. So it's a really good kind of whatever you're into. There's a package for you. Certainly the horror short one is very interesting. I think including one of the shorts made by the Mark Fisher, who's the director of Bait.
There you go. It's
circles,
all connected.
wheels within wheels.
All connected. So I think that's taking place all around the place. Go on their website, go on our website, and you'll find out all the details. There's a couple of films left on the Chinese Film on Screen season, which The Monkey King and The Silent Holy Stones are still coming up. If you're interested in Chinese film, there's a really nice blog on our website by the young lady who actually programmed that season of films. It's a really, really lovely piece of writing about how she chose the specific films and from a programmer's point of view. So get on, have a look at that. The Belfast Film Festival, you're aware of them?
I've heard of their work, yeah.
They do stuff all year round, but their big main event is the festival. And the launch is on Thursday, 5th of March.
Next week.
Yes, next week.
I better get a new shirt.
Yes, new tie, shirt and tie.
Okay.
So we will hopefully have a Belfast Film Festival special podcast coming up.
All right.
I mean, I haven't asked them yet, but I'll ask them. It'll be fine. So we'll probably do that next. So there'll be loads of stuff coming up from that. They've got about 10 things on pre-sale at the minute. And we'll be doing an event.
We are doing an event, that's right.
We are doing an archive event. Can we say?
No, we can't say
anything.
No,
it's a secret archive event with the lovely folk at Second Chance Cinema. It'll be really good. It'll be a really good event. That's all. That's all we're saying.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. You will find out more next week. So I just want to say before we finish up on this one, people may or may not have noticed that we have a new fortnightly thing. What do we call it a service? Was it a new fortnightly? It's like an overview of what's coming up every fortnight through the Film Hub members. There's a great guy called Rory McCann is writing this for us, and it's on our website every other Thursday, and that kind of has a great overview of what's coming up over the next 2 weeks in terms of all the screenings and events and stuff like that. So that is where you should really start going
If you're going to start anywhere, start there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's called the Film Hub Fortnightly.
Mm-hmm. And people can just get it on the website.
It's on the website. We'll share it out on Facebook and Twitter every time we publish it. But yeah, that's a new thing that we're doing, which is kind of a bit like my roundup, only on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on a screen,
in
not on
written
paper,
form.
in written form.
Right. Okay.
Because we can't do a podcast every 2 weeks. We can barely do one every 2 months.
I mean, we're not the most consistent of people, are we?
No, but we will be.
Oh,
we
yeah.
will be.
Sorry, right.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah,
yes.
we've got a plan. They're deadlines.
We've got a sketch now.
Meetings have been put in diaries. Okay.
So as always, all information about all these films can be found at filmhubni.org.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Sarah, for that. It was pretty good, actually. I think, I mean, I may have slightly oversold it, but I think you delivered. So,
thanks very much.
That's good
Thank
to know.
you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this Film Hub NI podcast. We'll be back probably in a couple of weeks with another one when we can just, sort of sort out our diaries and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, keep supporting independent cinema. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you also to Stephen, our lovely glamorous producer from Queen's University Belfast, and his lovely new room that we are. You can't see it, but imagine an amazing recording studio.
Purpose built for the Film Hub podcast.
That's where we're at. And so, yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Keep watching the cinema.